Turf Talk with Drew Miller.
Welcome to Tiger Turf Talk. We're excited to be partnering with the Toro company to kick off an all-new summer series focused on their upcoming Grounds Leadership Academy happening in June. Over the next 10 weeks, we will be releasing podcasts following Drew's road trip to Minneapolis and back, where he will be meeting with grounds professionals across the country. Please join us as we talk about their careers, the properties they manage, and their favorite Toro equipment. This episode of Tiger Turf Talk is brought to you by the Toro Company. For over 100 years, the Toro Company has been a leader in innovative solutions for turf maintenance. Through a strong network of professional distributors, Toro proudly offers a wide range of commercial-grade equipment. Visit Toro.com to explore their full lineup of products.
Welcome back to another episode here on the Toro Grounds Leadership Podcast Tour. We're here at the headquarters, the world headquarters of Toro in Bloomington, Minnesota. We are here with the incredible son, Roesslein. Just the greatest leader, honestly, in our industry when it comes on all fronts, and that's what this whole academy is about, is leadership. And we actually just wrapped it. For those that are listening, it was I think it was the first ever Grounds Leadership Academy here at Toro. So thank you for taking the time. It's always great talking to you. Like I said, I love you and everything that you do. What was it like coming to this? As a panelist, we're all sort of like, yeah, I'm ready, but what are we actually going to do, when it comes to the actual space? So how's it been? What was your experience like with the academy?
Fantastic experience, of course. It's nice to have something focused on leadership. That's kind of been something that we're wanting to focus on more, that we feel, it's important to all of us, whether a part-time seasonal person or, a crew leader or a manager or director. Leadership is always a space for more growth as well. So excited to get to be a part of it. As far as being a panelist, I love a panel discussion.
100%. I think that's the best way, because all the jitters are gone, and really it was like, I'm amongst my friends up here. This is awesome, so sorry.
Well, and it leads to discussion. It's in the title, right? It's in the name of it. So having a conversation rather than just kind of presenting information is better for my comfort zone personally, because I'm trying to get better at public speaking. It's we're not gonna do it not gonna get better if you don't try it. So
for sure.
But panel discussions, I think, bring out some great ideas and some great thoughts and suggestions, and love being a part of that.
I think what they did so well with this, academy is the diversity and where the people are from. We had so many. We had MLS, we had NFL, we had Parks and Rec, we had K through 12. It was just crazy how, and again, I'm this is from my personal experience, but how well everyone meshed together, and I remember when I first went to SFMA as a child, I should say, as a college student, I was always nervous to talk to people. I was like, that's the the head groundskeeper of that's, I'm like, don't look,
Celebrity status.
No, exactly. But there wasn't any of that here, and I think that's so cool. What would you say was sort of the highlights of, again, the event itself for you when it comes to whether it's making connections with people we haven't met before? Because there was a bunch that I have seen, and, obviously we were talking about social media and seeing them on Twitter and all that, but being able to sit and talk with them, understand what they're actually going through instead of just through a tweet, What was that like for you, and sort of some of the highlights for you on that front?
Well, I think for me, networking is always a highlight, no matter what the situation is. It's just so nice to chat with people from all over the place. We had some international colleagues here, several from Toronto, which was really cool to talk with them. And oh boy, they've got a tough hill to climb there.
And a haul.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially with FIFA stuff that you're talking about.
Yeah. But the networking and just the chatting and the conversations, and then because it's not just sports field managers, there were Parks and Rec, so we got to, like you said, meet some people that we haven't met before, and still share ideas and spread some encouragement and support, I think. Build some more bridges to other groups.
Something that I think it should be mentioned, and I haven't mentioned it on a podcast yet, so I'm going to mention it now, is how Toro developed the event itself. A lot of companies love to, push product, push like, hey, this is what you want. We want you to look at this. We want you to look at this. It never felt like that. It felt like a space where, again, like you said, leadership is such a unique thing. And I told Boyd this many times. I was like, what you guys are doing, it hasn't been done, where like an event is specifically mentioned for leadership. And what they did on the Toro side of it, I think, was really just having them highlight what their goals are and the culture that they have here and all those things. So how do you feel sort of about Toro and the way they put the event on in the sense of that? And again, that was just my 2 cents, but again, I want to hear what you think about it,
Yeah. Well, I think being able to have the opportunity to have some input from the field, is awesome. Being a woman in the industry, things aren't designed necessarily with me as an operator in mind. So, for instance, we were just borrowing an outcross and from our landscape division, which is great. We have a great relationship with them and really appreciate that collaboration.
Tell them maybe leave it.
Yeah.
Leave the keys. Oopsies. Yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But like for me to get in it, I couldn't reach the handle on the frame to help myself up into the seat. So I ended up, I ended up using the steering wheel. Well, to be able to say like, hey, could you make that handle like 4 inches longer?
That's so true.
So may not ever be able to afford an outcross, but just to have that like
Toro,
thought process.
donations are accepted. I'm just saying.
But it's really cool to get to have some input from an end user standpoint, and it's welcome,
And I think that shows in their work too. It's the dumbest thing ever, honestly. Like what I saw. I was driving their new lithium MDX at Appleside, and I noticed the steering wheel was there's got a straight line at the bottom. I was like, for years, it's not something that you're going to complain about the Toro or anything, because it's like, it's a steering wheel. What do you expect? This is just how steering wheels are. And they actually, take the time to notice that and make the adjustment. I was like, wow. Mm-hmm. My fat stomach isn't touching the steering wheel anymore. This is nice. But those are the things that I think separates them. And, I've been able to talk to a couple of product managers here on the podcast, and just the care they have for the industry, I think, is sort of unparalleled, making the connections, hiring the people that were part of the industry, to take on the role of a product manager. Appleside was a big part of what you're talking about. What was sort of your favorite part about that part of the event?
It's really cool to get to kind of demo stuff in front of the people who are in charge of it. So you can give that feedback. Yeah. It's kind of fun to watch other people operate equipment too. Yeah. I actually personally didn't jump on much.
I avoided it after I almost, flipped out the grandstand. Those battery ones. Yeah. No, I'm pretty. You probably saw my face I was like, what just happened? It was funny. I was just like, there's just so much power. And, guy with my weight, that kind of just, I was like, what do we, whoa. I have to actually try to do it with our gas power one back at school. But the power in the battery is just doesn't make any sense, So
surprising.
Yeah, it was really cool to see that. But, for those that don't know, sorry, I didn't explain this very well. Appleside is is it a test center for them? So it's a test center for Toro where they have all their new products. And for the event, what they did is they had us, it was 5 stations or something, 6 stations. So there was different stations from electric vehicles to Ventrac, which Ventrac's a really cool thing, honestly. And a couple others, stuff that they're pushed out or working on, where we were able to sort of test drive, showcase sort of the differences of what we had. And like you said, be able to give feedback, because it's just, something that is so valuable to them that, Joe Schmo like me, you're not going to listen to me. You're Toro, you're the Toro. So, and one of my favorite things is you saw people like Jeff McManus and Sean Kaufman, who are some of our industry's brightest, and they're out there 5-year-old children having fun, Sean with the mud buggy is like, hey Jeff, fill me up. Yeah. just goes running after him with the buggy and the dingo. And I'm just like, this is awesome, you know, because this isn't something that you're going to see from guys like that in their workplace, you know.
It was like a playground.
Yeah, it was.
situation up
Yeah,
there,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But
Sorry, go
can I
ahead.
add to
No,
that a
for
little
sure.
bit?
I'd love that. Yeah.
It's, we talk a lot about having a seat at the table to be able to have input in
Absolutely.
decision making, right? So I think this is just kind of a different avenue of having a seat at the table to help provide input to make things better. And maybe we won't see that at our facilities, but somebody's going to see it somewhere.
Hopefully, right?
So I think anytime we get to have some input and help make something better, hopefully, it's an exciting opportunity.
And I love how you bring up, you know, like making it better. Like the end of everything, there was a Toro talk. So like they had people that, again, it was Boyd and people that were higher up making decisions and whatnot. And they're like, talk to us. What can we do? You know, like the supply chain thing has been a very open issue for not just Toro, but for most people, you know, like they were like, we have made strides. Like, this is what we're working on. Like, they were just open and honest with us, which is incredible. You know, there are products that like, I was laughing at, like, everybody, I want one, like me. And they're like, well, okay, everybody calm down for a second, you know? What do you think, like, how has this experience been sort of seeing that side of, like, not even, like, vulnerability, but, like, being open to the fact that, like, we understand that there are struggles and we have been trying to fix them, but, like, what can we do more? Because you've already spoken on a little bit, but, like, to open up that much, I was like, wow, that's crazy, you know? Mm-hmm. What were your thoughts sort of seeing that firsthand, you know? And again, like, you obviously have known Boyd for a long time and been friends with him, like, just to see it in a setting like that.
Yeah. No, it's good.
We can go 10 different ways if you want. We'll do all of them.
Might have to come back to this one.
No, that's fine.
Okay.
You're going to have to give me a second to come up with a question.
Yeah.
Leadership. Okay. Well, that's a great one. You know, it's kind of the common theme of all of this.
Yeah.
You've been an industry leader for so long, since, I mean, when I was in college, like you see all of the individuals who are making an impact at that level and having, you know, an impact on me as a student trying to join this industry, whether that's through the association or other things that you guys have done. What has leadership sort of meant to you? And, you know, whether it's through volunteerism, whether it's through chapter work, whether it's through just, you know, being, you know, leading by example for so many, because, you know, I always tell you this when I see, I'm like, I don't know how you do what you do, you know, because it's just an impossible situation and you just excel. What does leadership mean to you, and sort of what is your definition of leadership in, you know, all of the roles that you play in this industry?
Well, leadership is kind of like our industry, right? There's no one perfect way to get it done.
Absolutely.
And it means something a little bit different to everybody. It's definitely a moving target.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's close, sometimes it's far.
Yeah,
sometimes
for
it's,
sure.
You know, but I think our industry is full of leaders because we like to help. We like to make things better. We like to make things more accessible, or obviously safe playing surfaces. We want to create opportunities for, I mean, I view what we do at the high school facility as, yes, we're creating memories, but we're creating opportunities too. So we have a couple young ladies who played soccer in our school district who are now on the U.S. women's national team.
Nice.
And had they, you know, had a bad injury or something like that at that time, like they don't have the opportunity to move on if we've taken that opportunity away.
Spoke a little bit to that about one of my students, so yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly what you're saying. But regardless of the situation, the budget, the lack thereof, we all want to help. We want to make things better. And I think that's really generalized description of leadership.
Baseball season is upon us. Toro's Field Pro 6040 was created with ball fields in mind. The The Field Pro's multi-tool system allows 4 tools to be carried at once, significantly reducing the time required preparing infields. Scarifying, grading, and dragging can now be completed in a single pass, saving you time and effort. Visit Toro's website today to learn more about the Field Pro's 6040.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think something else, like when it comes to like this event and the panel that they put together, what was so great about it is like there are so many different levels to what leadership can be, and like you were saying, there's no one way. In your role, obviously, one of the things everybody's like, you have a staff of 2 and then somebody you can get to work for 9 hours, like stuff like that. Like, but what really should have been highlighted by those guys who kept saying it was the role that you play in that community, being a leader, setting up all the events, having all the refs, like that is a nightmare. Okay. And it's not something that's told about you a lot, like what has it been like sort of being a community leader, because that's something that plays such a big role, like you were saying, in kids' lives, what has that meant to you?
No, I never really thought about that. And that
now you're thinking about it, right?
Thanks, Drew.
No problem. Everyone should know.
Again, just creating opportunities and creating those memories. I was a high school and college athlete, so I remember those days fondly. And then the potential of taking their careers to the next step is really exciting. So,
that's like
it's
me.
What I'm passionate
That's
about.
like me. Yeah, I'm not here.
Yeah.
Just leave me out of it. No, and that's such a big part of it. Like honest truth. Like in my life, and the people that I look up to when it comes to leadership, and people like you, like everyone's just so down to earth. It's not about a me. It's not about what he or she gains from the situation. It's about how can I improve others? And I think that's something that was not said, but it was really said, like throughout this whole event, like those who want to care for others and do what's best for them are true born leaders, because that's something that you can't write in a book. There's not something you can show the right way to do that, because like you said, there's so many different things. So another thing that really came with leadership throughout this sort of all of our panels was innovation, and at the high school level, you and I both know, like, we got to innovate. Otherwise we're just, looking at some grass that's going to be really struggling, what has it meant to you sort of to be able to put that out there, because that's something you really don't think about. It's kind of like on the fly. Okay, I did this. Oh, I got this. Like we figured this out. Like that's just natural, right? What was it like to sort of put it out there and be able to discuss it with, other professionals? Like Travis Hogan, like, yes, he's a Kansas City Chiefs head groundskeeper, but some of the stuff that he has innovations on, it's like, where did you even think of that? Like what went through your brain other than the bourbon?
Yeah.
But what was that like to sort of, actually have a conversation about it in a space like that?
Well, so Travis specifically, he's active on social media and successful at what he does. And I think anybody who's successful, like, I'm going to try to figure out what I can do with the resources that I have at my disposal to try to emulate that. Clearly it's working. And how can I figure out how to take those techniques? I don't have 6 turf pods or whatever.
Yeah, right.
But
he's talking about like, I just got them. I needed them forever ago.
I just said, sent me 6. And I was like, really? Okay.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Maybe you lose one, in Colorado at some point.
But I think, with anything, whether it's turf management, whether it's leadership, whether it's anything that you can think of, you know, somebody who's successful in a challenging situation, like magnetizing, right? You kind of gravitate towards, wow, what are they doing? How are they doing that? Like there's some intrigue there. Yeah. And then just trying to take what worked and how can we tweak it to fit our situation and our resources. And
I think what's been so interesting about, being here with people that, again, maybe you don't know that well, but you've seen on, like, you've had those, like, wow, that's really cool. Being able to have those conversations. Like I was talking with Tanner and the season he just went through and still going through now, like the chaos with the facility he has, what he's had to come up with, how he's dealt with situations of hey, I absolutely need this. And if I say I need it, it's not going to work out. They're going to be like, hell no, we're not paying for that. But if you work with the team, you work with the coaches, those advocates are going to play a big role in just overall, your success,
Mm-hmm.
So it's been really cool to have those opportunities to, just take a step back and say hey, it's great to actually be able to talk to you about this stuff,
Well, it sparks other ideas, right?
Yeah.
It encourages creativity, and start hearing how Tanner uses the coaches, and maybe like what you and I have might not be the coaches specifically, but maybe it's the family, or
Yeah,
maybe it's
exactly.
the superintendent's family or the principal's family, or whatever, however that works out. But there are definitely more avenues to the end result than sitting in a budget meeting.
Yeah,
there's other ways to create those connections.
Yeah, because especially in our situation, when you talk about a community and you talk about families and you talk about those in power and those kids and those families, they want what's best for their kid. And so it's not unethical. I'm not saying anything's unethical with this, but there's going to be a push for something that benefits their child, because it's going to benefit all the children of that age. It's not just a cut and dry thing, but having someone that advocate instead of you having to beg, especially at high school. They like to make us beg. But being able to have that, it's something that'll change and make everything easier.
Well, that relatability piece is huge.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier to understand the benefit of whatever it is if you can relate to it directly, rather than trying to figure out I can't really see it, I can't really envision it, but I take you for your word.
Yeah.
But if there's some direct relatability, then it sells itself at that point almost.
For sure. With this event, they're going to be doing it multiple times. They're going to do it for years to come. For those that are listening, what would be sort of your sales pitch on how this really affected the way you're going back, home and working, when it comes to, when you're talking, and I think, who was it? I think it was, Andrew with TCU. He was skeptical about it. There's a lot of people are 4 days for a leadership conference. That's not really something I really need to go do. What would you say to those that might be skeptical about coming to the Toro Grounds Leadership Academy? What would you say? What's the benefit?
Multiple benefits for sure.
Yes.
As far as the skepticism piece, it's not a sales pitch. I don't have an equipment budget, so shooting at the wrong audience.
They're
now.
not coming to get me to buy everything that we saw in Appleside. Yeah, exactly.
I think the benefit is in stepping outside of your comfort zone, which is I'm a huge proponent of, always and forever will be. Meeting some new people, sharing ideas, building community, building support, building resources.
Yeah.
Can't really go this alone.
No.
We are a group that supports each other. That was mentioned several times.
Absolutely.
And anytime you can build that support and those connections, it's
Now, I'm going to segue into softball here in a bit, but one of the other things that we really got into at some of our panels was mentorship. And you have probably been one of the most significant mentors in some of my kids' lives when it comes to the opportunity of what this is. The mentorship you've had for so many people in this industry across all levels, across all sports. When it comes to mentorship, what has it meant to be a part of that sort of journey as the mentor side and really the mentee when it comes to the people who have impacted you? What has that relationship been like for you over the years to this point where, again, I'm saying it, she's the president of the SFMA. So what has it been like for you?
I think that we do those things without thinking about the impact. You talk about the impact that you have on your kids all the time, but it goes way beyond your kids as well. But be me and again, try to make things a little bit better for the next person, whether that means supporting that person through a political situation
Yeah.
or challenge at work, or an actual technical situation. Really just support, nothing formal. Just
No,
here to
and
try to help.
I think that's what's really cool about mentorship. Like we talk about, people can bring up all these charts and talk about all these things, but again, I think it's rooted in good people, understanding that in a way that's like, hey, how can I help you? Like it's not something that a lot of mentorship for me like has nothing to do with field. It has to deal with like are going on in people's lives. Like you don't know what's going on. So like a mentor, like has always been, and one that I'll bring up, Dr. Goatley, like has been there for me in every way, like he's one of the greatest people, and I will always have him to rely on whenever I need him, which is hard to say about somebody of his stature, like he's one of the best in our industry, and he's done so much and he's mentored so many. And you think about that, like the number of people that you're mentoring, like it's crazy, but
I think a part of being a mentor, and I think about it, really emulating someone that I look up to, right? And to think about how can I take those ideas and those approaches and be the person that I needed when I was 20, when I was first getting in the industry, when I was 10 years in, how can I support that person where I was from where I am now? Sense.
It does. It's so true because like, I mean, I always try and give credit where it's due when it comes to like me as a person, like I talk about all of my bosses that I've had over the years, but I also love to talk about my parents, like my parents made me who I am. My dad was he retired on his 50th year in education. He worked in the inner cities in New York for 25 years as a teacher before moving to Virginia, so we could have kids. Like the things that he's been through, the struggles, the chaos of being an educator, and we talked about it earlier this week. Like there are so many things that he's been through that he's made me the man I am today. My mom is the most caring, loving human being I know. She will do anything and tear down any wall that's needed to protect her kids and those that she loves, and I've taken all of those things into like what I do, and I think that's what's so cool about, when it comes to being a mentor and everything, being able to have that kind of impact. And like you said, it just does, it's not something you think about. It just happens, A
lot of times you don't realize you're doing it either.
Exactly.
I mean, there's people that I look up to that I may not have ever even shaken their hands, but things they're doing are amazing and something that inspires me on some level. So you just never know who's watching.
That's the other thing about our industry that I think is really cool. There's so many like connections made just on social media, and there were a couple of people that I've never even heard of before because maybe they're not active on social media or I haven't, had the opportunity to meet them, and they're like, yeah, you do great stuff. Like the kids are amazing. I'm like, thank you. That's awesome. Like I'm so sorry I don't know who you are, but like I think that's what's really cool about this industry because there's not a lot of people. And I think Josh's presentation this morning was really cool, on how he really talked about branding and how it plays a role, and I love this Venn diagram, when you talk about your reputation versus your brand. And in order for both to be successful, you have to be authentic.
Yep. Oh, man.
Because I was like, yes. I was like, that is literally what I think all the time that I've never said in my entire life. You're like, of course that's it. Yeah, like that's awesome. Authenticity is something that, it's just something that will go so far for you. So, like one of the big things, like when Leah and I presented last year, was like social media, there are so many things that you can do with it. And there's so many things that you can, put out, but people relate to you when you're authentic, And you know, Leah, she's very authentic.
Yes, absolutely.
Even with her content, she's very authentic.
Yeah.
You know, so
It's fantastic.
it's
It's
just
real.
yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there. You were gonna say something.
No, keep going.
Yeah, I mean, so like when we talk about authenticity, like the people that are most authentic in this industry are the ones that are the greatest. You know, like talk about our panel, Travis, you know, goofball galore, by the way. For those that don't know, you know, he's wants to have fun all the time. He makes sure that everybody's aware of it, you know, like, and again, that's what you love about him, you know?
It's part of his charm.
Exactly. I hope you know he's
been waiting for that.
he's never gonna let that go now. He's like it's part of my charm.
Yeah.
What are you gonna say? But you know, and then Jeff, you know, he has this like this way of just like speaking, you know, and this way of like just getting a point across, and that's just who he is. He's always been like that, you know, and it's just incredible to see like authentic. You're one of the most authentic people I know. You know, you're caring, you love this industry more than anyone else, and you do everything, you know, with the best foot forward for everyone, you know. So like those are the things that are really cool. And then we have Ryan, who's sort of like an introvert, and he's just like a mastermind. I'm like, what is going on right now? Like my conversation with him, I was just like, what just happened? You know, like you'll be able to hear it on the podcast. You don't have to listen to it. But he was talking. He was talking about like, you know, engaging intelligence with your workers, and that's how you actually gonna retain them. Because if you're actively engaging their intelligence, like they want to do stuff, they want to be better. And I'm like, I've done 120 of these. No one's ever said anything like that.
Yeah.
Like that's so cool because it's so true. You know, like especially with kids, they're not stupid. You know. And then Dr. Straw, I just love him. You know, his mind goes 1,000 different ways, and he's just a funny guy, and it's just awesome to be around. So it's just things like that where like you see this panel and the people that are on it, they're so authentic to who they are. They're not gonna like sugarcoat anything. They're not gonna like be not who they are because they're supposed to be because somebody says so. So I just think it's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, a great time. And
Yeah.
just the quality of discussion and connection that come out of that are awesome to have the opportunity.
Absolutely. I do want to get into softball a little bit because it's coming up, and
Let's do
I'm
it.
super excited to be going again. Thank you so much for having me. What has it been like sort of taking, you know, the inaugural group and seeing, I mean, from talking to Chris, it's like there are tenfold the numbers that want to be there and be a part of it, which is incredible. What has it been like sort of getting everything set up?
Yeah, so Women in Turf team is growing quite a bit. So last year we had
Which is
16.
awesome, by the way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's really cool to see and be a part of it,
Yeah.
definitely.
And lead it, just saying. Sorry, go ahead.
So last year we had 16 ladies on the crew. We did the last 4 days of the tournament. So this year, Chris has some big ideas, and he's like, let's do all the days of the tournament. So we're expanding to a total of 20 women from all across the country, all facets of the industry. And we're taking those 20 and splitting into 2 groups of 10, and we're going to cover the entire tournament this year.
sure.
So really looking forward to having a mix of people who were there last year and people who this will be their first experience. And there's a great mix of both of those in each crew, as well as experience.
For sure.
I'm super excited to get to be a part of it again. It's been fantastic. We've had a lot of great support already, and hope we can keep on growing it.
Oh,
now,
for sure.
Next thing is expanding to other sports and other events, and
Yeah,
the
and-
growth potential is gigantic.
And I think that's what's so cool about it, you know. And obviously the golf side did a great job of sort of kickstarting everything, and then you bring it over to the sports field side. You know, you have the college softball World Series, you have the, you have college baseball World Series if you really want to go that far. You know, there's just so many things, and then like eventually, you know, maybe the Super Bowl.
they wanna go further,
Nick
yeah.
Pappas, you know, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
But like things like that where like you're creating such an incredible space for, you know, such a undervalued group. And I don't want to say that in like a bad way. You know what I mean? It's just in a constructive criticism towards the industry, you know. And you and I have always had this talk. Women are just better. I'm sorry. We suck. You know, we all suck. So No, we don't all suck. Sorry, that was the wrong thing. I got distracted. That's not my fault. But I think we need to understand that it's just they're more meticulous. My kids in my program care more. There's just a better understanding of safe operation even, like that's the part that I love. I'm like, you're doing that because I am not dealing with someone breaking this again. There's just, and there are so many people out there that really want to do it, like one of our students is going to be there who wasn't there last year. Like, she's so excited, and it's just because she's fantastic at the work that we do and the work that's done on the field, that she'll bring, if we give them the opportunity and like you're doing is making everyone see that, it's going to grow so much more, and it's so exciting to be a part of it and see it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first I have to back up to something you said earlier.
Yeah.
I did not bring this to sports field industry. I was inspired to, kind of challenged by Kimberly Gard from Syngenta.
Yeah.
I got to work with her at the U.S. Women's Open, and she had just called me out of the blue one day and was like, yeah, it was great. So what are we doing in sports fields?
Yeah.
And then she kind of mentioned that, like the little angel on my shoulder, and then poof, disappeared. Was like, good luck. Here you go. Figure it out.
Where'd you go?
Yeah, exactly. So what a life-changing phone call that was. But,
Yeah.
Chris Ball had to say yeah when I asked him if he could
Love you
use
better.
some help. Yeah.
Love you, buddy.
So it's not an I. It's not something
No,
that
no,
I've
for
done.
sure.
There's a group. There's a team. There's
And I
a
meant,
team that plans the Little League softball stuff.
For sure.
Chris, Nina Oldenkamp, Amy Fowdy. We
Shout
all
out
do
you
this
guys.
together. Yeah. Thank
Am I
you
going to
all
be able
so
to see
much.
all them? Is that the question that I have?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Everybody's going to be there. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know who was in the second half because I think that's when I'm going to be there. Although I think I'm there a day on the first half. Yeah.
Right. You'll see everybody one night. So,
It's not sad at all. It's fine.
but again, like you said, creating opportunity. I mean, it goes back to creating the opportunity for anybody, whether it be an athlete, a woman in the industry, a young person in the industry, a new person in the industry, regardless of age,
For sure.
to have the opportunity to take the next step, whatever that is for them. So
Yeah.
I think that's definitely a passion project for me.
Oh, for sure. And it's incredible to see, when it first happened, I remember I think you called me. You said, hey, we're doing this. And I think if you have some kids, it'd be awesome to have them come down. And originally it was just my alumni, and Julie was a perfect candidate. And Julie, give her a call. You may want to do it, right? And then freaking Liz, God, I love her to death. Yeah, she's actually on a flight to Canada right now. She texted me before she left, but she's like, I really want to go. I'm like, I will make a phone call, but I'm not promising you anything. And then that was a week before the event, and you guys moving mountains for her, loves it, and she's so excited to go back. Those are the things that are going to change everything, and I think these events are going to change everything for the better for all of us,
Well, so when I first started in the industry, early on in my career, I got connected with Heather Nabozny.
Yep.
We kind of chatted a little bit here and there, just talked about the industry and
Where we were
some
at.
things. Yeah. And in 2005, she was hosting the MLB All-Star Game.
Mm-hmm.
And she invited me up to be part of the crew. And I mean, I was only a couple years into this profession. And I was like, holy career goal.
You're
I'm never going to top this.
I made it.
Yeah. But to be a part of something that was very unique, not something that happens every day.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
That early on in my career definitely set my path in
Yeah.
concrete,
For sure.
Not that it wasn't before that, but to have a super cool experience like that is really inspiring and motivating, and it's fun to see it blossom and see what happens
Yeah.
for the ladies, Liz.
Yeah.
that
The younger
it's gonna be fun.
generation, the middle
Oh, boy.
generation, the old generation, all of the generation. That's what it's called now.
The G's, not
The
the,
Gs,
OGs or
yeah.
the new G's. Just
No
the Gs.
OGs there, Maritza. I'm looking at you. I'm kidding. I love you, Maritza. I got in trouble at SFMA. I said it to Nick McKenna. She was like, I told you not to say that. I'm like, sorry. Well, I know you have to catch a flight, and I am so grateful for you taking the time. Always a great time talking to you, and I'm excited to talk to you soon down in Greenville with everything that's going on down there. So thank you so much. And again, It's always great seeing you.
Awesome to see you. Thanks so much for everything you do too, Drew.
Of course.
Appreciate you.
Yeah.
When it comes to grounds maintenance, Toro's Groundsmaster mowers are the preferred choice for professionals who require nothing but the best. Visit Toro's website today to learn more about their Groundsmaster mowers and their entire lineup of commercial equipment. Toro, count on it.